welcome to the Weekend Review with me, EJ Borkart. And let's get started with discussing what we're going to be discussing this week. I'll be telling you about what has happened this previous week in my blog on the rebellion on Akwar, give you a little bit of a review of what has happened in the story thus far with the Supermorpher, give you a sneak peek at what's coming up next in the next chapter of the Supermorpher, which will be going up next week on my blog, and I will be discussing a few changes that I made to my blog this past week. So, without any further ado, why don't we get started with the Rebellion on Akwar? Now, this week, Scott has sent Lawrence to the orphanage to try and track down Terran. He feels that Terran is the one who is behind the attack on the pedestal, and he is correct. He wants the prototype recovered and Terran killed. No one ever said Scott was a nice guy. I didn't say it. Did you say it? I don't think so. Who are you? It wasn't said. But he gets there. Terran's not there. He nervously starts to question Eugene, who, of course, claims that Terran had absolutely nothing to do with it. It was something done by the rebellion. Terran has nothing to do with the rebellion, which just proves how in the dark Terran keeps Eugene. Also, after that, we skip to Terran going to collect his first loan for Frederick. He gets to the farm where the people who own the money live, and they don't have the money yet. But the wife promises that they'll have the money next week. They don't even have anything of value to give as collateral. And Terran says, it's just too bad that no one was here. I mean, I would have loved to collect this debt, but I'm not going to be able to come out this way until next week, so I'll have to come and hopefully they'll be around then. He goes and reports this to Frederick. Frederick pretends to believe him, but actually does not, and sends some of his boys to go and collect the debt with interest to teach Terran a lesson. And then the masked man appears before John when John was on his way home from work and tries to convince him that the rebellion needs to work with him and do things the way he's doing it. The way that they're doing things, nothing will ever change. They're not going to improve anything. And John firmly says, you are going to ruin this planet and the lives of the people that live on it. If you come anywhere near the rebellion, I will destroy you. And so the masked man tells John if he doesn't join with them, he's going to go and attack the mine. And he even tells him when he's going to do it so that John can go and tell the enforcers. The masked man goes to do this, and the enforcers are waiting for him. He decides to go ahead with his plan anyway, bursts through the enforcers' lines, breaks some mining equipment, and then gets trapped under a net. Fortunately for him, he's able to divert half of the army away so that they'll go and check on rumors that he's spread, and they end up letting him escape as a result of this, because he has a drill tucked inside that magical gauntlet on his wrist that pops out, scoops up the net, and then busts off, and then the masked man escapes in the confusion that follows. The commander that was present that night is demoted by the pedestal to the rank of soldier for the actions that his men took. Now, this is going to come up eventually later on in the story. This man is going to be very, very vengeful and spiteful toward the government, toward the masked man, and you could bet he's going to do everything he can to get his revenge. So, that has been what happened this week in the Rebellion on Akwar. If this sounds interesting to you and you missed it somehow, go back. All my posts are on my blog. You could find parts 1, 2, and 3 from Monday, Wednesday, Friday last week. You could find the whole story from Saturday yesterday. And, yes. So now we will go ahead and do a review of the Supermorpher.
Previously on the Supermorpher.
Thank you. So, Ryan is a football player in college who is accidentally given superpowers by his best friend when he gets shot with this chemical compound, and it binds with his body, giving him increased strength, increased speed, very significantly improved healing abilities, and the ability to transform into any substance that he touches with his hands. And his friend convinces him, hey, you got these awesome powers. You need to be a superhero. And so he becomes the Super Morpher after some brief training to learn to get better control over his powers, to say transform when he transforms for as long as he wants to, and to only transform when he wants to. And he ends up quitting the football team because he hurt someone because he doesn't have control over his powers. He stops robots and thieves and crooks, and he saves people from burning buildings. And then he goes into a store where there's a hostage situation, and he's able to take out all the thieves stealing electronics, except for the one that's able to take one of the cashiers as a hostage. He backs away, lets the police deal with it. The police get 5 people killed, including the hostage. He's not happy about this. He decides to train even harder, and he finds out who it was that was responsible for that attack on the electronics store, and it was members of these 2 gangs. One of them was responsible for a bank robbery he took care of earlier in the day, and one of them was responsible for the attack on the electronics store. He goes and he attacks both gangs and takes them out. Unfortunately, in this city, there is someone known as the Spider. Someone who sits on top of his web that stretches across the city and controls all the crime that goes in. Nothing happens in this city that he doesn't know about. Nothing that he doesn't have his fingers in that he doesn't control. He is the Spider. And obviously he was in charge of these gangs, and Ryan manages to tick him off enough that he sets a bounty on Ryan's head. More, of course, if he's alive, because the Spider recognizes that men like Ryan, who have powers, can be very valuable assets. So he wants to try and buy him and get him onto his team if he can. But if it proves too difficult to capture him, he'll also pay for him to be dead and out of his way. Ryan is then attacked by these gangsters who have this idea that, well, he's a pretty tough guy. Nothing we've been able to do to him has really hurt him so far. I mean, we shot him with bullets, stabbed him with knives. It doesn't do anything. Let's shoot him with a rocket launcher. Fortunately for Ryan, he was turned into stone at the time, and he does survive it. He is severely injured from it, and as a result, one of the gang members that were part of the group that did this was able to escape and give the report to the Spider. And so this has put a lot of doubts into Ryan's mind. Does he really want to continue being a superhero, or does he want to go back to his normal life? He goes out on patrol to think about everything that's been going on in his life, try to get it all sorted out, figure out what he wants to do. And he's ambushed by another robot that shoves him off a building and then tries to kill him. Ryan is able to stun the robot temporarily and then runs off when he's not looking, and so he spends the rest of the night looking for the robot, only to go back to his dorm and find out that his parents are waiting for him, and they are very, very upset that he quit football. Young man, this is your future. You could have been a professional football player. How dare you quit the team? You need to go back at once, otherwise your mother and I will stop giving you any sort of financial help. And that puts Ryan in quite a pickle. What does he do? Football, school, superhero. Also, he has a girlfriend named Becky who they've gone on like 3 dates and she wants him to move in with him. What's he do with that? There's a girl he likes, Kari, that she won't date him unless he becomes a Christian. He considers going to a Bible study with her to get her to go out on a date with him. It's just so much stuff going on in his life. His best friend Jordan is also working for a scientist named Dr. Mechanic. He is the leading developer of prosthetics, and Jordan got an internship through his invention of invincible cloth. Turns out he invents something awesome like that, all the scientists want to know how you did it and see if that you could help them with their field of study, which Jordan is doing a great job of. He's making advancements for these prosthetics, including a new alloy known as Jordanium, named after its creator and discoverer, Jordan. It is lightweight, it is nigh indestructible, and it is very non-corrosive, which is part of the non-destructible. But all of this is coming up to what is coming up in the next week of my blog. So, here's your sneak peek. Ryan is going to go to school to try and find Kari, and while he's there, he will be told that if he goes back to the football team, he will be given a great opportunity to give him the exact life that he was hoping to have before being a superhero. And when he goes back to the lab and tells Jordan, I'm giving up being the Supermorpher. I've decided I'm going to rejoin the football team. I'm going to get back the life that I want, rather than this life of constant fighting and people trying to kill me. And Jordan says, you can't. You started this war in the city against the gangs. If you don't stick with it, lots of innocent people will get hurt while they try to draw you out. And let's just say Jordan goes and talks about his problems with Dr. Mechanic, who inadvertently gives him some encouragement to do something that, let's just say, is rather foolhardy and not well advised. So, if you want to see Ryan back in all of his glory as a football player, being loved by the team and the crowds, and if you want to see Jordan desperately struggling with what to do, how to get Ryan back on the path of the superhero, or at least to fill the void somehow that he left in the city, come back to my blog next week and check out Chapter 9 of The Supermorpher. So, I forgot to do this earlier. If you're still at this point in the video, the picture at the beginning is a picture of a member of the Guardians known as Hawkeye, the Guardian of the Sky. Picture once again done by my friend Jacob Zimmerman. You can see his little illustration in the corner. That is his mark, his logo, his signature. That's the word I was looking for, his signature. And also, the music at the beginning of this video is from the introduction of Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I do not own the music. I do not own the rights to the video or to the cartoon series itself. I highly recommend you check it out. All credit goes to the owners and creators of that. Excellent cartoon series, as I said. And now I want to discuss some of the changes that have happened to my blog this past week. Some of you may have noticed that the glossary of terms page has disappeared from my blog. That has happened because I haven't updated it in many, many months, and I only have terms for a Here, Guardian, and Malor in it. I eventually want to bring it back, but have one for each story I'm working on. I just haven't had the time to do the upkeep for it. It takes a lot of time, a lot more work than you would think it would. So that's gone for now. Hopefully it'll come back someday. You may also have noticed that I changed it from the index page to my archives. And I added at the top the latest weekend review for each of my stories. So if you want a summary of everything that's gone on in the story up to the most current chapter, I have the summary on that page for you. And also, the final change I've made is I added another page that I labeled advertising. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but every Thursday I do an article analyzing a commercial that I find randomly on the internet. just pointing out what they did well, what they did badly, what my opinion on it is, and I post that on my blog. The reason why I am doing that is when I went to college, I was an English major with an emphasis in creative writing. Unfortunately, the school that I went to, that's not enough to complete a program. You also need to pick up a minor. So I was looking for all of the possible minors that I could do with an English major, and most of them did not look appealing, didn't look like anything I would be able to do personally. I know my own strengths and weaknesses. And then I saw advertising, and I, like many of you, I'm sure, were like, advertising, that's the devil. Why would anyone ever want to get into advertising? And then I was like, well, you know what? I need a minor. It looks like this one could possibly be doable. I'll try taking a advertising class and see if I want to make that my minor. I fell in love with it. Oh, just taking a deeper look at all the work that goes into commercials, the creative process to it, and then making some of my own. I love it. If I can't be a writer, if I can't write stories, I would 100% want to be a copywriter for an advertising firm. Something I'm actually working toward. Hopefully, eventually, once this new restaurant opens up in my hometown, the owner wants me to come on and do the advertising for them. So hopefully that happens soon. I am looking forward to that. But yes, that is why a creative or a storyteller is writing articles on advertising, which are very popular on my blog. In fact, one of my most popular posts ever was the first article I wrote about a Mentos commercial, which if you haven't checked it out, you should. It's really, really funny. But I decided to make a page for that. Since so many people were going back and looking at my old articles, I decided to give them links to it. So that has been all the changes on my video, or on my blog for this week. This has been the Weekend Review. I, once again, am EJ Borkhardt. If you have any questions for me, about my writing, about anything, if you want to talk about why the rain is falling in Toledo or something random like that, I will take a crack at answering your questions for you on this, or on these videos. So, once again, leave a comment on the video, leave a like, and check out my blog. Remember, some people may say it's love that makes the world go round, but it's stories that make the trip interesting and worth it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.